child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. Ignacio Estrada. Hello everyone, I am Evelyn Herrera from Bachelor of Elementary Education. For today's session, I'll be your first assistant to explore the range of SPED programs and services. So sit tight and relax as we drive you to another captivating journey of facts and ideas. Let's go! SPED programs and services are presently available in our country. As a matter of fact, public schools and private institutions offers a wide array of it. It aims to provide access to basic education among children with special needs, namely, the gifted or the talented, the mentally retarded, the visually impaired, the hearing impaired, the orthopedically handicapped, the learning disabled, the speech defectives, the children with behavior problems, the autistic, and those with health problems through the formal system and other alternative delivery services in education. Let us start with the Special Education Center. It is an innovative delivery system for educational services to children with special needs. This is a school within a school concept, since it is established in a regular school, administered by a principal, and operated according to the rules and regulations that governs a regular school. To simplify it, inside the regular school, they have a special room or area for special education. It provides a range of educational services, namely resource room teaching, special and cooperative classes that promotes mainstreaming, parent education, counseling, assessments. The teacher both acts as a mentor and an educator. Let us proceed to the special class or self-contained class. It is a group of students or pupils that shares a common or same exceptionality or disabilities. For example, a student with visual impairment, all of his or her peers inside the class has the same disability as hers. The special education teacher handles this class in a special education center or in a resource room. The third one is mainstreaming program. This one's the most common. The regular class has children with disabilities. Special children are allowed to be in a regular school to socialize, communicate, and learn with their peers. And there are actually two types of mainstreaming. The first one is partial mainstreaming. These are the students from SPED school. In some cases, they are needed to finish some school levels in SPED school. Then after a while, they are now allowed to join a regular class, but not in all subjects. This may be selected as what fits for the student's capabilities. For example, Anna is good at art, mathematics, and social science. She can now join the regular class for these three subjects. Or, this kid excels in English. I think he can do well in a regular school too. These kids will be allowed to join the class for specific subject areas. The second one is the full mainstream. Yes, full. This one's different from the former. It's like joining a regular class composing all of its subjects, activities, classroom, and other related matters. As the word full, they are completely part of the regular school. The fourth one is the special class. This program is designed to build and help the students on how they would interact and socialize within the community. It enhances their social skills, including self-control, to abide with what their environment needed. Normally, students with mental issues, emotional disorders, and learning disabilities are inside this class. This is designed to focus on making these students to be functional members of our society. Trained special educators are allowed to teach these students. The last one is what we call residential or boarding school. The students are provided with special education access and housing services. Some services includes house parent, who will teach them household chores, diagnostic, counseling, guidance, recreation, and other social activities. Now, I am fully aware that I occupied minutes of your life, but please stay with us as we move to our another colleague, Ma'am Nicole Silvestre, for general accommodation or modification.
Some see the disabilities, but special education teachers see possibilities. Hello everyone, I am Nicole Mae Silvestre from Bachelor of Elementary Education 2B. Today, I'll be your second assistant to explore SPED programs and services, which is the general accommodations and or modifications, with the premise that not all children can adapt in the demands of schooling. Adjustments must be done in the curriculum content, instructional delivery, and assessments. These adjustments are also known as circular adaptation. The main purpose of curricular adaptation is to allow students with special needs to receive fair and quality education in either special or general education setting. This adaptation could be done in two parts, the accommodations and modifications. Now, let us proceed to accommodation. Accommodation is a curricular adaptation that alters or adjusts the delivery of the curriculum to the child. Accommodation targets the process of learning, which entails the approaches, methods, strategies, and techniques in teaching the content or administering the assessment. Accommodations may include changes in any of these elements: duration, setting support, assistive devices, and scheduling. Examples of accommodation includes providing the student with physical impairment a virtual environment where he or she can experience the sports that they want. The second example, letting the student with intellectual disability use a calculator or an abacus during math class. Providing test questionnaires with large fonts and spaces to a child with visual impairment. Assistance in maintaining uncluttered space. Provision of notes or outlines. Now, we're done in accommodations. The next is modifications. Modification is the curricular adaptation that deals with the alteration or adjustments on the content or the assessments intrinsically. It targets the input and output of learning, such as lesson, objectives, products, like projects, portfolios, and assessments, performances, and other assessments like examination, quizzes, and activities. Modifications may include changes in quantity or quality of content, goals, and assessments. And here are the examples of modification. First, instead of a movie review, a song reflection can be given to a student with visual impairment. And another example is focusing on just two basic mathematical operations when handling children with intellectual disability like addition and subtraction. Projects instead of written reports. Allow outlining instead of writing for an essay or major projects. And now that you already know the general accommodations and modifications, please stay with us as we move to another calling Ma'am Hazel Joy for behavior modification.
If you want to change attitudes, start with a change in behavior. William Blaser. Good day everyone, I am Hazel Joy Villasenor. Our third topic is behavior modification. Behavior modification. Behavior modification is defined as the alteration of behavioral patterns through the use of such learning techniques as biofeedback and positive or negative reinforcement. More simply, you can modify your child's behavior with positive consequences and negative consequences. Behavior modification is based on the idea that good behavior should lead to positive consequences. and bad behavior should lead to negative consequences. This approach is often used to discipline kids with ADHD, autism, or oppositional defiant disorder. However, it can be effective for all kids. Behavior modification involves positive punishment, positive reinforcement, and negative reinforcement. Positive punishment. Positive is used to stop negative behaviors, and while it sounds confusing, it refers to punishment as a positive in operant conditioning. The term positive means adding. So a positive punishment involves adding a consequence that will deter the child from repeating the behavior. Example: giving a child an extra chore as a consequence for lying when asked if they clean their room. Another example is telling a child to write an apology letter after they hurt someone's feelings. Another example is insisting a child do a sibling score after hurting their sibling. Spanking is also an example of positive punishment, but most experts agree that corporal punishment should not be used in behavior modification. Negative punishment. Negative punishment involves taking something away. Examples include taking away privileges or removing positive attention. Example: actively ignoring a temper tantrum. Another example is placing a child in timeout so they are not receiving any positive attention. Another example is taking away a child's electronics privileges. Next is reinforcement. Reinforcement is a technique that encourages or discourages specific behavior. Like punishment, reinforcement can be positive or negative. Positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement refers to giving a child something that reinforces good behavior. Discipline that relies mostly on positive reinforcement is usually very effective. Examples of positive reinforcement include praise, a reward system, or a token economy system. Specific examples: allowing a child to earn the time to play on their tablet because they completed their homework. Another example is giving a teenager a later curfew because they got on the honor roll. Negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is when a child is motivated to change their behavior because it will take away something unpleasant. A child who stops a behavior because their parent yells at them is trying to get rid of the negative reinforcer. Negative reinforcement should be used sparingly with kids as it is less effective than positive reinforcement. Example: a teenager complains about school during the ride to school every morning. The child's father turns on talk radio loudly to drown him out. The next day, the teenager doesn't complain about anything because they don't want to listen to talk radio. Now, how do we use behavior modification? You can force a child to change their behavior, but you can change the environment so they be more motivated to change. Behavifying the environment in a way that your child has more incentive to follow the rules. First, consistency is the key to making behavior modification effective. If you praise your child for doing their chores, use praise every time they do their chores until it becomes a habit. Then you can gradually pace out your praise over time. Next is negative consequences should also be consistent. If your child only gets sent to time out once out of every 5 times they hear effective, your child needs to go to time out each and every time they do the unwanted behavior. And last, adults need to be united. Behavior modification also works best when adults work together as a team. If teachers, daycare providers, and other caregivers use the same consequences and rewards, a child's behavior is likely to change even faster. Keep in mind that behavior modification should not be customized to your child's specific needs. The strategies that work well for one child might not work with another child. That's all. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.